everybody. I think we can start now, actually. So welcome to this Book Club Reading Corner webinar. Thank you for joining us. So this webinar will be recorded and it will be sent to you as a follow-up to you today in a follow-up email. So on the webinar with me today, I have my colleagues Ellie Dix and Lucy Browse, and Ellie in a short while will be providing you with a walkthrough of Reading Corner on Active Learn Primary. Lucy is there in the background, ready to answer any questions that you may have. So Lucy will be answering any questions in the Q&A during the course of the webinar, and I'll also be trying to capture some frequently asked questions at the very end of the webinar as well. So please keep those questions coming if you have anything to ask. Okay, so the overview of the session you can see on the screen there. The first part is around the product itself, so Book Club Reading Corner, how it will support you in developing a culture of reading for pleasure in your school. Just spotted a typo there on the slide, I do apologise. So the culture of reading for pleasure in your school. And the second part is that walkthrough on Active Learn Primary that Ellie will give you. And then the Q&A, so there's frequently asked questions, and then some next steps for you, some things that we can do to support you going forwards, whether you're currently subscribed to the ebook library that we have, which includes Reading Corner, or whether you're brand new customers that are just looking at the possibility of having that subscription. Okay, so let's crack on then. So why have we developed Book Club Reading Corner? So before I get to the actual aspects of the product itself, just to capture the fact that research has revealed time and time again that reading for pleasure supports our young learners to become better readers, and it's a really integral part of fostering life skills. So the organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, so the OECD's Programme for International Student Assessment, commonly known as PISA, said as recently as 2021 that PISA data consistently shows that engagement in reading is strongly correlated with reading performance and is a mediator of gender or socio-economic status. And also, whatever pupils' socio-economic background, making sure that they become engaged with reading from the very beginning is one of the most important ways to make a difference to their life chances. And I think we're all probably cognizant with that now, but it's always good to kind of like review that kind of thing. And for this to happen, they need to learn to read as fluently as possible and be motivated to continue reading. And that motivation aspect is a really big part of reading for pleasure. And back in the year 2000, when the OECD analysed its data on the 15-year-olds who had taken part in that year's assessment, the literacy scores for pupils who were highly engaged in reading were significantly above the international average, and those who were poorly engaged scored below it. So some sort of stark facts there. And this was the case, actually, whatever their family's occupational status. We also know that wide recreational reading expands pupils' knowledge about the world and about language, as well as their understanding of subject-specific academic and technical vocabulary. And then obviously such knowledge eases their access to the whole curriculum. Higher performance in maths has also been found. So Book Club Reading Corner itself provides you with a whole school solution to developing that culture of reading for pleasure. So what do we have as part of that project? So children can choose from lots of exciting topics and search for the books that they want to read. So based on their interests, which is a real strength of the product. Stories are written by a range of diverse authors and illustrators, and they feature exciting, representative characters who live in all sorts of places and go on all sorts of adventures. So children can see themselves in the books, and they can also tap into worlds that they might never be part of. We have books on real life and interesting topics. The books are mobile friendly, making them accessible to even more children at home and in school. And of course, we know the benefits of having that link to home with regards to reading for pleasure and that parental engagement. And all reception and Key Stage 1 ebooks as part of the product include Read to Me audio, a real benefit, so that children can access books beyond their own current level of reading if they wish, so that the doors are open to them with regards to different texts that they can access. So what's in the project? So just a quick screen grab there on the slide of the component chart. So as you can see on the component chart there are a vast range of books across fiction and non-fiction titles. So there are over 100 beautiful books, inclusive of comic, fiction, non-fiction plays and poetry across a breadth of topics. And as I said on the previous slide, one of the ethos of this project is the fact that children can choose books according to their own interests, and of course choose books that are beyond their own reading level by tapping into that read aloud function on the Key Stage 1 books. Most of the Reading Corner books are available in print too, and they're absolutely perfect for boosting your school library with books that you can be assured are diverse. Our National Literacy Trust partnership. So we're really excited to announce the launch of the Using eBooks to Support Reading for Pleasure in 2023, a survey of primary school teachers report that we've worked on in association with the National Literacy Trust. We're super excited by this partnership. So the research for the report was conducted between June and July 2023, and it took the form of an online survey which consulted 516 primary teachers, including classroom and subject leaders, class teachers, members of SLT, such as head teachers, deputies, assistant heads, across the breadth, teaching assistants, literacy coordinators, SENCOs and librarians. So a real breadth of voices there in this survey. And at Pearson, we're really committed to ensuring that every child can develop a lifelong love of reading, no matter their ability, background, or identity. This sort of speaks to that research, the OECD research that I was talking about at the beginning of this webinar. So as part of this commitment, we've got our product, which is Book Club Reading Corner, which has that diverse online library of over 100 beautiful ebooks that I mentioned before, that children can choose according to their interests, encouraging them to read for pleasure. And as I said before as well, Reading Corner is part of our all-new Book Club ebook library. So that might be of interest to you. We can certainly follow up in an email with you with that National Literacy Trust guidance, the sort of results of the highlights of that survey, if you like. Another real strength of this project is the fact that as an accompaniment to Book Club Reading Corner, we have created Reading for Pleasure Professional Development in partnership with Teresa Kremin and her team at the Open University. So as you can see on the screen there are 6 exciting modules designed to be delivered by a member of your staff in an hour-long staff meeting, or the sessions can be combined on an inset day. So this is a real strength to the programme, and it's part of your subscription. As you can see there, you have some really sort of strong topics, very much in line with the Reading for Pleasure ethos that runs throughout the revised reading framework guidance. Actually, the PD is free to download from Active Learn Primary if you have a subscription to our Book Club ebook library. And as you can see, we have Reading for Pleasure Changes Lives, teachers' knowledge of children's literature and other texts, teachers' knowledge of children as readers, reading aloud and informal book talk, reading time and the social reading environment, and reading teachers and building communities of readers. So that's a super useful starting point if you're new to Book Club Reading Corner, or if you are looking at developing reading for pleasure in your school. This CPD is a really good starting point to bring everybody in school on board and make sure that you've got that kind of consistent all school approach. So I've got some quotes here from the Reading for Pleasure professional development units as a taster to that brilliant content. Actually, I just thought it'd be useful to draw those out. So we have some here from the sections that are titled Finding Oneself in Texts. So those quotes, I'll just read them out actually off the slide, because I think there's a real sort of strength to them. So becoming a keen childhood reader is a potential game changer for young people. It's a tool for social justice and a way to begin to address educational inequalities. And the second one there from that section about finding oneself in text: to avoid creating and sustaining stereotypes, children need to access to stories that include authentic and positive representations of characters from diverse cultural backgrounds. So that's just a taste of the rich content that's in that CPD, and actually reflected in Reading Corner as well. And then the second is titled Widening Your Repertoire as a Teacher, which also encourages exploring a wide range of children's authors. So the quotes from that section of the CPD: the first, for some children, books might be one of the few places that they get to know characters who live very different lives to their own. So that's about providing that breadth of different topics, which kind of opens the world up to children. And the second is, there are many ways in which you can widen your own repertoire of children's texts. It's important to make a commitment to this as a professional responsibility, and one which you seek to retain over time. And in a few minutes, when Ellie provides you with the walkthrough of Book Club Reading Corner on ALP, she'll be showing you how, you know, teachers can preview those books and kind of widen their own repertoire of children's literature by looking at the books that are in the programme before they kind of embark on sharing those with children. And another benefit, and something else that speaks to these elements in the CPD, is that breadth of authors and diverse topics that we've got in the product itself as well. So it really broadens children's kind of knowledge around different children's authors, or authors of children's literature. And then how does Book Club share Reading Corner, sorry, I've got a typo there on the slide as well, meet the guidance in the revised DfE reading framework of 2023? So we're all very familiar, I'm sure by now, with the reading framework, the revised edition. So promoting reading for pleasure is emphasised heavily throughout that document, including the importance of providing a quality selection of books in classrooms and libraries, the role of teachers as book influencers, and the value of developing a reading for pleasure culture across the school is a thread that runs throughout that guidance. And among the non-statutory advice in the framework, a number of key actions can be drawn out of that aim to support schools in developing reading for pleasure. And I've just tried to kind of summarise those on this slide. The first one is that it supports schools in providing a wide range of curated books to boost book corners. So the part of the framework that talks about book corners offers direct advice for setting up book corners and libraries. It sounds like an obvious place to start, but in reality, book corners are low on the agenda for some schools, or many schools, and are left to individual teachers to kind of sort out in their own classrooms, if you like. And the revised framework does give a valuable reassessment of the importance of book corners, and school leadership teams are encouraged in the guidance to take a more deliberate approach to providing resources and guidance. The framework also highlights that the focus of teachers' time and attention when establishing book corners should be on the quality of books rather than elaborate decorations in those book corners, for example. So having something like Book Club Reading Corner, which is in essence a book corner in itself, really supports that kind of teacher workload and takes the kind of thinking out of setting up that sort of book corner, because you know that you've got a range of authors and topics and diversity across that as well. The framework, of course, also provides guidance on the types of books to include, so such as fiction and non-fiction, classics, recent releases, and books by the author of the current class reader, for example. So really, it's calling for a feast. That's what it's described as in the reading framework, a feast of tempting books to be on offer, which we can assure you would find in this product. The second one there is about providing an opportunity for all children to increase their reading miles with a broad range of books across wide topics of interest. So it's not just about reading for pleasure, it's about reading a lot. And the reading framework makes multiple references to reading miles and makes clear that after phonics instruction, providing as many opportunities as possible for children to read and to be read to is the single most important and beneficial thing that schools can do. So all the way through Key Stage 2 as well. And then we've got a sort of a steer around providing a wide choice across a range of topics to nurture motivation and motivating children to read and sustaining that motivation so that they choose to read a lot isn't easy, as you will know as teachers. But there is valuable research in this area, and it's really pulled out in the reading framework. And the framework itself highlights a few things schools might consider. So one of those things is choice and motivation. So to be able to make recommendations and steering individuals out of their comfort zone. So the types of books that they might gravitate towards generally is really, really important. And then the final bullet there talks about allowing teachers to preview books and support children in making choices when they need support. And as I said a few minutes ago, you can do that using Book Club Reading Corner. It provides you with the ability to have an overview of all of the books in the product and have a look at those and be sort of familiarise yourselves as teachers with those before children embark on choosing them for themselves. And now I'm going to hand over to the lovely Ellie, who's going to provide you with a walkthrough. So I'm going to stop sharing for the time being, Ellie, and over to you.
Thanks, Nicola. So let's go and have a look at Active Learn Primary. So this is the homepage of Active Learn Primary, and on this demo account, we've got all of our products. But let's go into Book Club. And again, this is all of the tiles that you get within Book Club ebook library and also the phonics. But we'll find Reading Corner under Resources. So as a teacher, you can preview all of the books that are in Reading Corner, but you wouldn't be allocating them to children because children choose their own books because it's all about them making their own choices for reading for pleasure. But you can preview what they'll see. So under interest age here, the books are grouped by the age that they're suitable for. So for example, children in year 1 and year 2 would see this selection for age 5 to 7. You see we've got books all across different genres, so comics, fiction, non-fiction, plays and poetry, and then all of these topics as well. And I'll show you what that looks like on the children's login in a moment. So as a teacher, you can share these with your class if you want to. So you can open them up in the same way as usual and enjoy the ebook together. And then if there are any books that you didn't want any of your class to see for any particular reason, there's also this feature of hide book. So you could click on that and then you can choose your class and choose whether to hide for all pupils in the class or just particular pupils. So let's go and have a look what this looks like for a child. So I'm going to log into a child's account. So to do that, I'm going to go up to admin here, find my class, and I'm going to visit Alina's pupil world. So this is just a warning about affecting her account, but this is just a demo child. So here we are on Alina's pupil world. So on the pupil world, they have some control over what the backgrounds look like. So they've got that personalization there. So there's lots of fun. So under my stuff, this is where they will see any Book Club books that you have allocated to them in my work. But this is the new area here, Reading Corner. And this is always here for children. So even if they run out of books that you've allocated to them, they can always go and find something to read in Reading Corner. So that's how it encourages them to read for pleasure. So the children are presented with a few of the topics. So it's not overwhelming. They're just given 3 topics to start with. And if they don't fancy any of these, they can click on find new topics and see some different ones. So this displays really well on phones. So if children are accessing Book Club on their parents' phone, this will display really nicely. And then once they've chosen their topic, again, it will give them 3 books to start with. So there's not too much visually, but they can click on show all books if they want to see the full list of all of the books available. So for each book, for reception and Key Stage 1, there's audio for the blurb, so they can find out what the book's about. And the idea is that these books are suitable for the children's age, but if they're not quite at that reading level yet, there's no barriers to them enjoying this book if this is something that they're interested in. So all of the reception and Key Stage 1 books have the read to me function on. And we've got beautiful artwork in these, and we've got diverse authors and illustrators and representative characters as well.
Every summer, I go to stay at my granddad's house by the sea. It's a pretty old cottage, with bookshelves packed to the brim with interesting things from Grandad's travels, and lots of brilliant places to play hide and seek.
It's really easy to navigate. I'll just close that book now. And if they want to come back to this, it'll open up on the same page that they were already on. And they can also add it to their favourites by clicking that little heart there. And then if you click on favourites up here, they can easily find it there. So that's your little tour of what Reading Corner looks like for children and what it also looks like as teachers. So I'll hand it over back to you, Nicola.
Thanks, Ellie. That's great. I'm just going to endeavour to share my screen again. There we go. That was fab. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're nearly at the end, but as promised, I am just going to cover some, some questions here that are frequently asked, and you would find these in the classroom support section of Reading Corner as well. So how do I allocate books in Reading Corner? So as Ellie rightly said, the books in Reading Corner aren't allocatable, and that's part of the kind of free choice and the reading for pleasure ethos of this product. How are the Reading Corner books levelled? Again, these books are not levelled as with other books in the book club range. These again are sort of for children to be able to read and choose books around their interests and that kind of thing. Where do Reading Corner books fit in with our colour banded books? So again, they're not colour banded. These books are more like a free choice and part of your book corner, but of course you've got the benefit of having the majority of them in print and ebooks. And these books are also, all of the books are mobile friendly, so as Ellie mentioned earlier, brilliant for that kind of homeschool link and that parental engagement. They can access these on their parents' mobiles, for example, and the books come up really, really clearly on the choice. The choosing aspect of the book comes up very, very clearly on the mobile as well. If you require a sort of an expanded answer to those questions, then please do go into the classroom support section on ALP, where there is an FAQ section, and you would find the answers to those questions there as well. And then finally, before we finish, just some next steps, really. I'm hoping that this webinar has been informative. So you've got a little bit of pedagogy there, the background to Book Club Reading Corner, and that wonderful PD that is part of the subscription of the product, which I think is a real benefit. You've had that fantastic walkthrough from Ellie, from the teacher's perspective and from the child's perspective as well. So next steps then. So we will follow up. Anybody who's registered for this webinar, whether you're attending today or whether people haven't attended live, we'll follow up with an email with anything that I've mentioned. So that National Literacy Trust survey result we will send out to you as part of the follow-up email, with the recording of the webinar as well, so you can dive back in to different parts of it if you like, or the whole thing, share with staff, whatever you want to do. Our customer success consultant for your region will follow up with you as courtesy, as well as a follow-up. Please do engage with the product, Reading Corner on Active Learn Primary, if you so wish to do that, to find out more what it looks like for yourselves. And also just to say that we're here to offer continued support whilst you implement the programme as well. So if you require any additional support, another walkthrough, for example, that kind of thing, then we can provide that for you as well. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you very much for joining us.